Introduction: The Awakening of the Ancestral Code. In a world where anxiety has become an epidemic, where depression is treated as a chemical imbalance rather than a symptom of a mind disconnected from its true nature, this knowledge emerges not as another theory, but as an urgent calling. What you are about to read is no ordinary self-help manual. It is a recovery, a reclaiming of understanding as ancient as the pyramids, as sacred as Vedic teachings, and as practical as samurai discipline. We live in paradoxical times. Never have we had more access to information, yet never have we been more lost. Technology connects us to everyone, yet has disconnected us from ourselves. Medicine has advanced in treating symptoms, but has failed to cure the root of human suffering. Why? Because we've ignored the true battlefield. The mind. Not the physical organ, but the mind as a control system. A database storing fears, traumas, and conditioning that keeps us trapped in endless cycles of repetition. This book is a map, one that was hidden in fragments throughout history. Taught only in closed circles of initiates. Egyptian priests knew it as the mysteries of Osiris. Japanese samurai practiced it as Mushin, the mind without mind. Indian yogis called it Advaita, non-duality. All pointed to the same truth. You are not your thoughts. You are that which exists before thought. Why is this so crucial today? Because never have we been so manipulated, not just by external systems, but by our own minds. It convinces us we're small, that the past defines us, that the future is threatening. It turns the unknown into a monster and the known, however painful, into a comfort zone. The result? People living entire lives as prisoners of themselves, repeating patterns, feeding suffering, never questioning who's really in command. This manual is a key to unlock the code that keeps the mind in control. It promises no quick fixes, for true mastery requires courage. Courage to question everything you believe yourself to be. Courage to face the void beyond thought. Courage to discover that when the mind falls silent, something far greater expresses itself. Life itself, flowing through you. The great avatars of history, Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, weren't special because they had powers, but because they had transcended the mind. They didn't speak from ego, but from silence. They weren't characters, but channels. This is the book's final invitation. to stop being a character controlled by mental programming and become something far vaster. If you're ready for this journey, then let us begin. The first step is simple yet radical, understanding that the mind is an instrument, not the musician. And that you, in your essence, are the music. Chapter 1. The Mind's Database, The Grand Illusion. There exists a secret guarded for centuries by mystery schools. An understanding shared only with those deemed ready. This secret is simple yet profound. You are not your mind. What you call I is actually a set of running programs, a database built since your first day in this world. Imagine a child touching a hot stove. From that moment, the mind records, stove equals danger. This memory influences future decisions. So far, so good, it's protective. The problem begins when this process repeats with everything in life. Relationships, opportunities, fears. Gradually, unnoticed, you become not a free human, but a set of automatic reactions based on past experiences. The ancients knew this. Egyptian priests taught that the mind is like a river. If you identify with its turbulent waters, you'll be swept away. But if you realize you're the riverbank, the observer, you become free. Japanese samurai trained for years to achieve Mushin, the empty mind. Knowing only then could they act with absolute clarity, untricked by their own thoughts. Today we call this anxiety, depression, panic attacks. We give clinical names and try medication, but the root remains untouched. Because the problem isn't brain chemistry, it's identification. You believe you're your thoughts, memories, traumas. Thus you live as prisoner to a system built piece by piece without your conscious consent. The first great realization in mental mastery is this: your thoughts are not you. They're like clouds passing in the sky, coming and going. The sky isn't affected by them. Similarly, your consciousness remains untouched by thoughts unless you identify with them. This is the mind's great trick, making you believe it, and you are the same. When you start observing thoughts without engaging, something extraordinary happens. You begin noticing a space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your freedom. Your true power of choice. The great spiritual masters of all eras discovered this. They weren't special. They'd simply learned not to be fooled by their own minds. This chapter is the first step in disidentification. In coming chapters, we'll explore each mind control mechanism and how to become master of your inner realm, as the ancients did. For now, begin practicing simple observation. Watch thoughts like birds flying by. Don't try to catch or judge them, just observe. This is the beginning. The mind makes a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. You're about to learn how to reverse this dynamic. The adventure begins here. Chapter 2. The Identity Trap. The labels that imprison us. From birth, we're told who we are. He's a strong boy. She's so smart. This one's shy. These seemingly innocent words become the first bricks in an invisible prison. Gradually, we believe we are what we've been told we are. Worse, we spend lifetimes defending these identities as if they were our essence. Native American shamans understood this game. In their rites of passage, youths faced extreme trials not to test strength, but to break identification with any fixed self-concept. You are not your name, not your story, not others' opinions of you. They taught. This wisdom was lost in modernity, where people spend lives trying to prove they're who they believe themselves to be, suffering terribly when this identity is threatened. How often have you heard or said, "I'm just like that, I can't change"? Sorry, that's just how I am. I've always been anxious, it's my nature. These statements seem true, but are traps. The mind defends its territory, keeping you in the known. For the mind fears emptiness, not knowing who one is. It prefers a negative label to the freedom of being undefined. Sufi mystics had a powerful exercise for this. They had disciples spend whole days acting completely opposite to their personality traits. The shy would act outgoing, the talkative would stay silent. The goal wasn't to pretend, but to experience being nobody in particular. You can practice this today. Notice how often you reinforce identity. That's not for me, I could never, because I'm the kind of person who... These phrases are chains keeping you bound to mental programming. True freedom begins when you see you can choose who to be in each moment. Without consistency to some imaginary past self. In coming chapters, We'll explore how this false identity feeds fear, anxiety, and suffering. For now, try being nobody for minutes each day. Just exist. No story, no definitions. Zen masters said, this is the first step to discovering who you truly are, or rather, discovering that your true self is beyond all definition. The mind created a character and convinced you it's you. It's time to discover who's behind the curtain. Chapter 3. The Fear Cycle. Why the mind invents catastrophes. There's a mechanism in your mind older than civilization, faster than thought, more powerful than logic. It helped our ancestors survive predators and real dangers. Today, that same mechanism has become our jailer. We call it fear. But few understand that real fear isn't about external threats. It's how the mind turns possibilities into paralyzing virtual realities. Samurai warriors knew this game well. Before battle, even veterans felt fear. The difference? They were trained not to obey it. A samurai saying goes, fear is like fire. It can warm or consume you, depending on how you use it. They understood the problem wasn't fear itself, but identification with it. In modern life, this ancient mechanism manifests as generalized anxiety, panic attacks, irrational phobias. Deprived of real dangers, the mind invents them. An unanswered email becomes career disaster. Chest pain signals imminent heart attack. Relationship silence means certain abandonment. The mind creates full tragic stories, then makes you believe them. Tibetan monks developed a revealing practice. They had students sit near cliffs in dangerous places, not to confront fear, but to watch it arise and pass. See how fear comes like a cloud, they taught. If you neither push it away nor hold on, it simply passes. You can apply this today. When anxiety comes, 1. Pause and breathe deeply. 2. Identify the story your mind is telling. What if I fail? What if I get sick? 3. Ask, is this happening now, or just a movie my mind is creating? Gradually, you'll notice a space between you and fear. In that space is your freedom. Great spiritual masters weren't fearless. They just learned not to be ruled by fear. In coming chapters, we'll explore how this mechanism transforms into other mental patterns. For now, remember, fear is just an ancient signal saying, pay attention. Whether that attention paralyzes or makes you more present is your choice. As ancient warriors and mystics discovered, Chapter 4. The Tyranny of Mental Time. Living between the haunting past and terrifying future. A silent disease corrodes modern human experience. Unlisted in psychiatric manuals, it causes more suffering than all others combined. Inability to inhabit the present. Our minds have become defective time machines, oscillating between an unchangeable past and unknowable future. Ancient Egyptians represented this through Thoth, god of time and writing. In their myths, Thoth didn't just measure chronological time, but warned against becoming prisoner to psychological time. His priests taught that the true present, the eternal now, was the only gate to the divine. In daily life, this temporal tyranny manifests two ways. 1. The Museum of Past Suffering. Your mind stores every hurt, failure, pain, displaying them like trophies. Remember when you were betrayed? Remember when you failed? These memories aren't neutral. They're reenacted with full emotional charge, as if happening now. 2. The Lottery of Future Terror. Meanwhile, another part compulsively buys tickets for imaginary catastrophes. What if I get sick? Abandoned? Fail? The mind charges exorbitant prices for these tickets. Your present peace. Greek Stoics developed brilliant techniques for this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate on the present. All else is uncertain, fleeting." They practiced premeditatio malorum, not to fear the future, but to drain its haunting power. A simple exercise. When catching yourself reliving past or anticipating future. 1. Feel your feet on ground. 2. Watch your breath for 3 full cycles. 3. Ask, what's actually happening right now? You'll usually discover that in this exact moment, you're safe. The problem is never now. It's the mind's insistence on escaping it. Mystics always knew the present is where life truly happens. As Zen master Suzuki Roshi said, there is no other time than this. No other place than here. In coming chapters, we'll explore how this present escape fuels all suffering mechanisms. For now, try this simple return to now several times daily. It's more revolutionary than it seems. Chapter 5. The Invisible Addiction. Why the Mind Clings to Suffering. A paradox at humanity's core baffles both lay people and sages. Why, faced with peace's possibility, do so many insist on suffering? The answer lies in one of mind's subtlest, most powerful mechanisms, its ability to make even pain feel familiar, thus comfortable. Ancient Indian yogis called this Sukha Dukkha, the pleasure-pain cycle. They taught that the mind, seeking stability, prefers known suffering to unknown happiness. This was symbolized by the snake who, offered freedom, stays in its dark cave, the only home it knows. Modern manifestations include sabotaging relationships when they get too good, freezing before imminent success, compulsively reliving painful memories, almost physical resistance to pure joy. Christian mystics called this the dark night of the soul. Not as stage to fear, but as mental pattern to transcend. Saint Teresa of Avila wrote extensively about how the mind creates false identifications with suffering, making it a substitute identity. An ancient exercise to dismantle this. 1. When noticing suffering, physical/emotional, pause. 2. Ask honestly, what would I lose by letting this suffering go? 3. Observe answers without judgment. Often we cling because suffering gives identity. I'm the one who suffered X. Provides excuses not to risk. I can't because. Earns attention/care. Feels more real than joy. Taoists taught that resistance is the only true suffering. When we see, we maintain pain, not vice versa. We take the first step to break what ancients recognized as mind's greatest illusion. In the next chapter, we'll explore how this manifests collectively in social hypnosis. For now, just notice how often your mind takes refuge in familiar suffering rather than opening to the unknown miracle of now. Chapter 6. Collective Hypnosis. How the mind becomes hostage to social patterns. An invisible force shapes our thoughts, choices, even rebellions. Unwritten in any legal code, unenforced by might, it holds deeper power than any regime. This is social hypnosis. Absorbing beliefs, values, and fears from our environment until they feel like ours, without conscious choice. Ancient Stoic philosophers recognized this. Epictetus, who rose from slavery to mastery, taught that freedom's first step was realizing our opinions aren't us. We're the awareness witnessing them. He saw most people trapped in a collective dream, mistaking social values for absolute truths. From childhood, we receive an invisible script defining success/failure, acceptable/unacceptable, desirable/fearful. These unwritten rules embed in our collective unconscious, defended as personal truths even when causing suffering. Mystical traditions sought to break this spell. Sufis practiced crazy dervish, deliberately acting against social norms not from rebellion, but to distinguish true self from conditioning. Unquestioned inherited values make us live unlived lives. Signs include feeling inadequate without real cause, pursuing joyless goals because that's what one does, fearing judgment about things we don't truly value. Samurai called this death in life. Following others' paths to meet their expectations. A practical exercise from Cynic philosophers. 1. List 3 absolute truths you believe, e.g., money brings security. 2. Ask, do I truly believe this, or have I never questioned it? Who taught me this? Did they live lives I admire? What would change if I stopped believing this? Great spiritual masters like Lao Tzu or Krishnamurti weren't antisocial. They simply refused to be governed by society. They lived in the world without belonging to it. In the next chapter, we'll explore mind's deepest mechanism. The illusion that we're thinkers of our thoughts. For now, notice how many certainties are truly yours versus inherited. True freedom begins realizing we never needed the herd to start walking. Chapter 7. The Final Deception. The illusion that you are the thinker. All mind mechanisms we've explored rely on one profound error: believing you're your thoughts. This is the ultimate trap, the final veil to pierce. You aren't the voice in your head. You're the awareness witnessing it. Simple in theory, revolutionary in practice. Ancient Indian Upanishads express this as neti neti, not this, not this. Eastern masters used this negation practically. Whenever students identified with any thought, trait, or emotion, the reminder came. This too isn't you. Modern life confuses essence with endless thought streams. When the mind says, I'm afraid, we assume we're afraid. When it judges, we assume we're judging. This automatic identification sustains all other mechanisms. Christian mystics had a heart prayer practice, continuously repeating, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. The goal wasn't religious, but to create space between thinker and thoughts. With the mind occupied by simple repetition, other mental noise could be seen clearly as passing phenomena, not essential self. An exercise to dismantle this identification. 1. Sit quietly, observing thoughts like passing clouds. 2. When a thought arises, label it simply, this is a thought about. 3. Notice the subtle difference between you and the thought. You were there before it came and remain after it leaves. Gradually, this reveals what ancients knew. You're like the sky, vast, open, unchanging. Thoughts are like weather, changing, passing, unpredictable. Confusing yourself with them is like the sky believing it's the clouds. This is the ultimate secret all great avatars discovered. When Jesus said, "I and the Father are one," when Buddha spoke of not self, when Lao Tzu wrote of the nameless way, all pointed to this same realization. They weren't special, they'd simply seen through the final veil. In coming chapters, we'll explore living from this understanding daily. For now, start noticing you aren't the voice in your head. You're the silence listening to it. Chapter 8: The Dissolution of Self. When the observer becomes the void. There comes a point in self-discovery where all techniques, practices, and efforts become useless. This is when you realize there's no you to know yourself. The seeker disappears, leaving only the search. Ancients called this ego death. But it's more accurate to say it's recognizing the ego never truly existed. Just a story the mind told so long you believed it. Zen masters have a koan, a question with no logical answer. What was your face before your parents were born? This isn't about reincarnation, but looking beyond constructed identity, name, personal history. Seriously attempting to answer it, something curious happens. The mind falls silent. Briefly, you touch what Taoists call the non-being that is fullness. In daily life, this realization brings paradoxical freedom. You still have personality, preferences, habits, but aren't bound to them. You can use them as tools without confusing them with yourself. A Buddhist monk once told me, "Before enlightenment, I was a man with problems. After enlightenment, I'm still a man with problems. Only now it's no longer a problem." A simple exercise pointing to this truth. 1. Close your eyes. Try locating where you are in your body. 2. Notice how the mind points to head, chest, or elsewhere. 3. Now ask, who's perceiving this? Repeating this, you'll notice something extraordinary. Every time you try to find I, it retreats to the observer's position. And when you try to find the observer, it disappears. This is the sage's secret. You can't find yourself because you're not a thing to be found. You're the space where all things appear and disappear. Humanity's great avatars weren't special people. They'd simply stopped identifying with the character. When Jesus said, "I and the Father are one," when Krishna showed Arjuna his cosmic form, when Lao Tzu spoke of the nameless way, all pointed to this same ineffable reality. In coming chapters, we'll explore living from this understanding in daily life. How to decide with no decider. How to love with no lover. For now, rest in this mystery. After all, who's reading these words is no longer the character you thought you were, but something far vaster, simpler, and infinitely freer. Chapter 9. The Dance of Emptiness. Living sinnerless in a world of form. The sun rises without asking whom to illuminate. The river flows without deciding where to run. The tree fruits without calculating its producer's worth. For millennia, sages observed nature's spontaneous functioning and realized life flows perfectly when no I interferes. But how to live thus in a world demanding decisions, plans, and identities? Ancient Chinese Chan, Zen, masters developed non-abiding mind practice, not absence of thought, but thought without attachment. Like clouds crossing the sky, leaving no trace. A famous Zen poem says, "The old pine preaches Dharma wordlessly. Each morning leaves fall, each night branches whisper." This is essence of centerless action, pure movement, no actor behind it. In modern life, this realization brings subtle but radical change. You keep doing everything as before, working, relating, creating, but without the sense of a doer. Decisions arise by themselves. Words flow without a speaker. Actions happen without an actor. This isn't passivity, it's pure spontaneity. Try this exercise throughout your day. 1. In any simple activity, washing dishes, walking, writing, pause momentarily. 2. Notice how the action is happening by itself. 3. See that even "I'm doing this" is just another thought arising in this space. Gradually, you'll perceive what artists know in pure creation. Athletes experience in flow state. Mystics cultivate in meditation. Life lives itself through you. As Master Ihei Dogen said, to study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by all things. When this understanding matures, a new way of being emerges. You no longer bear the burden of being somebody. You can simply be like falling rain, like blowing wind, like a leaf dancing airborne before touching ground. This is the final dance. Emptiness containing all forms, silence singing all songs, non-being that's pure fullness. In the final chapter, we'll explore how this journey completes. Not as an end, but as a true beginning. For when the seeker disappears, all life becomes sacred ceremony, and every moment an altar. Chapter 10. Return to the World. When enlightenment wears ordinary clothes. After traversing self-knowledge's 9 gates, after dismantling all mind's mechanisms, after discovering there's no I to be found, one genuine question remains. Now what? How to live in this world of form-knowing emptiness. How to dance with the game's rules knowing they're just conventions. True Master's answer was always the same. With utter normality. Humanity's great sages never stood out by eccentric behavior or complex speeches. Quite the opposite. The deeper their realization, the simpler they became. An old Zen tale tells of a renowned professor meeting a master living as a humble gardener. The professor, full of theories, asked, "What does an enlightened person do after enlightenment?" The gardener, without looking up from his plants, replied, "Chops wood, carries water." This radical simplicity marks true understanding. When all identity layers dissolve, what remains isn't some permanent mystical trance, but extraordinary ordinary presence. You keep playing your roles, parent, professional, citizen. But now know they're just roles, not your essence. Like conscious actors on life's stage, we can fully commit to the drama without confusing ourselves with the characters. Here's the final paradox. The less you need to be special, the more unique your expression becomes. When ego stops filtering and controlling, your true nature flows effortlessly. This is why profound teachings often seem so simple. Jesus didn't found an academy, fished with fishermen and ate with sinners. Buddha demanded no grand temples, taught under trees in poor villages. Lao Tzu wrote no complex treatises, just 81 brief verses fitting in a palm. The final practice is non-practice. Living. Just living. When you stop trying to be enlightened, consciousness's natural light shines by itself. When you quit seeking meaning, each moment reveals itself as its own purpose. The miracle isn't in some special state. It's in recognizing this ordinary instant exactly as it is already perfectly expresses the mystery we are. Thus this manual closes, or rather, opens. For true mind mastery doesn't end in written pages, but in silence between words, the pause between thoughts, the empty space you've always been and always will be. The rest is life. Chopping wood, carrying water, letting infinity dance through these passing forms. May your path be ordinary. May your realization be simple. And may your life, free from the I-S tyranny, flow with a river's natural grace meeting the sea.